Hello, I hope this video finds you well. Tonight's night 18 in my nightly ritual of recording the Codingbat solution while schools are closed. So whether you're a student of mine or someone out there just learning to program, let's dive in. We are looking at arrayFront9 tonight in the warm-up 2 section, and this is the Java implementation. The problem states given an array of ints, return true if one of the first 4 elements in the array is 9. The array length may be less than 4. Now this is an important line here. The array length may be less than 4, because this tells me that I have to account for that situation where I have a length less than 4. And if we can look at the examples here, we see the first example returns true because yes, there is a 9 and it's the third element. In the second example we return false because even though there's a 9, it's in the 5th element. It doesn't show up in those first 4. And the last example returns false because, well, there is no 9. So I'm going to do this in 2 different ways. I'm going to do it in a way that is really essential as a young programmer to learn how to do, using a loop. And then I'm going to show you how this one-liner works that I kind of came up with. Don't ever do this for anyone. It's just fun to do, but really challenging to read. So the 2 big things I want to kind of make sure you understand with this is, one, when you're developing an algorithm to some problem, always ask yourself, can you exit a function as soon as you find what you need? This is a really important question because if your answer to this is yes, it means you can stop the function as soon as you find your answer. So if I was asked to count the number 9s in this list, or this array, I would have to look at every element, get a count and return it. But I'm just asking you, is there a 9 there? So as soon as you find it, you're done. And it might seem silly, but let's say I just said find if there's a 9 in the list, and there is a million elements. If the first element is a 9, I don't have to look at 999,000 other elements. Alright, and the second thing is we only want to loop through the first 4 elements, or if the list is smaller than the length. Or it should be the length if the list is smaller than the length. Alright, now you'll hear me say list versus array because I keep working on Python and Java. In this case I should be using the term array. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create an int called L, and I'm going to set that equal to 4. So I'm going to assume the length is 4 or greater. Now, let's just for a second, let's just write our loop here to go through the first 4 elements. So I'm going to say 4 int I equals 0, I is less than L, I is equal to I plus 1. And this is just a simple if statement. If nums at I is equivalent to 9, we're going to return true, and then otherwise we're going to return false. And when I run this, you'll see it works sometimes. There it goes, but we get these cases which are index out of bounds errors. And if you look at this a little closer, you'll see that every index out of bounds error is a situation where the length is less than 4. So what we have to do here is we have to add a little piece of conditional code right here, and we're just going to say if nums.length is less than 4, we're going to say L is equal to nums.length. And that solves my problems. Now we can tighten this code up a little bit more. We can get rid of all of these braces because this if statement has a single line of code, so I don't need braces. This for loop has a single line of code, which is an if statement, which has a single line of code, which is that return true. And there we go. It works. Now, a nice little kind of technique just to be aware of, and I like to use this, and I see students use this a lot, is I can get rid of this conditional statement and use the min function. So I'm going to say int L equals, and I'm going to use the min function, which is a static function contained inside the math class. So what that means when I say static function is I'm going to use the name of the class to invoke the method. And that method can take 2 parameters of type double or int. And in this case, there are going to be 2 ints, and I'm going to pass it 4, and I'm going to pass it nums.length. And so what I've done is I've just taken advantage of this function here to figure out that L value using the Math.min. Nice little trick. Okay, one of the things I always say to young beginning programmers who are working in Java is use this term. You don't necessarily understand what it means fully yet, but if you are invoking a function with the name of a class, it is called a static function. That becomes really important when you start learning about object-oriented design. Okay, so let's wrap this up just with a little fun, and let's explain this one-liner if you're interested. Totally understand if you're like, I'm done. I don't want to look at this. All right, so what we do is we take this, we use this static function toString, and I know a static function in the arrays class because I'm invoking it using the name of the class. And so what this does is this converts our array to to a string. Then I use substring because remember, I want only the first 4 elements. But here's the funny thing. If I have, let's just come up here and take this list. Let me square this off. There we go. If I take this and I convert this to a string, it actually becomes that. And so it's really, when I first did it this way, what I did was I assumed this. I said, okay, well, I'm going to take the substring from index 0, and now I have to figure out what's smaller, the length of 4 or the length of the array. And in this case, I put a 4 there, and I hit go, and I got it wrong. Well, the reason I got it wrong is because when you convert an array into a string using this toString function, it actually puts this brace here, which counts as an index, and it puts those commas. So if I want the first 4 elements, I'm going to say 0, that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And that's why here I want the Math.min of 8 characters, because I have to include the comma in that brace. And then I'm going to convert it again to a string, because I'm doing this in one line, and take the length. And then I'm going to put at the very end of that dot contains the 9. And there it is. Like I said, don't ever do this. But it's a really nice exercise to try and understand this, because it gives you an understanding of the order that functions are called, and just a neat way to play around with the code. I hope this video helped. Have a wonderful day.